Well, welcome back, lads, to the F1 Peter Walsh Show podcast. Now, there is something in the air, and it's called pressure. Pressure's pumping up now, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, lads, let me tell you. It's heavier than fuel, thicker than the tire smoke, more suffocating than the heat rising off the track. It's not horsepower, it's not aero, it's not even politics. It's pressure. This is what the rest of this Formula One season comes down to. Absolute pressure between Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. And, you know, we got two men in the McLaren garage, side by side in those orange overalls. When I say equal machinery, not necessarily equal machinery. No two cars are ever the same. That's just a reality. It's fact. And, you know, no excuses. Piastri and Norris. Two men aren't just applying for a trophy here. They're racing for identity. Because that's what this comes down to here, lads. Identity. Because, let's not sugarcoat this. You know, losing to Verstappen in a Red Bull, okay, fine. Losing to Hamilton in the Mercedes, right? That car was basically untouchable. Fine. You know? And they were unbeatable packages. But losing to the man across the garage in the guy who's like 10 foot away from you, 20 foot away from you maybe, you know, that's a tough one, lads. And, you know, that is a wound that doesn't seal drivers easy. That's a wound that just keeps bleeding out, man. Now, luckily for me, I've not been in there. But I tell you, lads, these things scar. Because even if you're not up against your teammate, it could be another driver. This stuff stays with you. And history proves this stuff. Teammate rivalry doesn't end with a handshake. They end with collision, bitterness, politics, betrayal, or tragedy. And 2025, it's all pointing this way. Let's get into it.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front. What a move from fifth all the way to the lead in lap one.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter Walsh. Now here's the paradox. Every team pretends that, you know, a Formula One team needs two drivers. But a championship only crowns the one. And that's why I've always said to you, lads, that when you do watch Formula One, it's like winning the Drivers' Championship is like winning the Oscar. Winning the Team Constructors' Championship, it's like winning the Golden Globe, SAG Award. Okay? It's still great. You know, it's validation. You've done something good this year. You've been useful. You've progressed. You've done something. It's just not the Oscar. Because I don't care whoever says it to you out there, if a team starts talking about that they want to win the Constructors, not the Drivers' Championship, they are flat out lying to you. Flat out lying to you. I was in this world. This is my world. I've lived it. I've breathed it. And, you know, the engineers, the bosses, the PR people, they'll tell you sometimes the team comes first. Utter rubbish. The guy across from you isn't your teammate. He's your mirror. Now, that doesn't sound very teamy from me here. Okay? Actually, I was a brilliant guy for connecting, communicating with the team. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that I was a brilliant driver. I'm just saying that I was brilliant because I really wanted the thing to work, right? So my spirit was there. Spirit was there. And anybody can have the spirit, you know? It's not like a gift. It's just you're coming, man, with all balls against to the wall, and you're coming. You're gonna try and deliver as best as you can. You're gonna be useful. You're gonna be going in like a bloody military soldier, storming the beaches of Normandy here. That's what you got to be, and it's not about the money. Sounds mad. It's not about the contracts. The end of this year is about identity. And lose to your teammate and the stopwatch tells the truth. It doesn't care how funny you are, how marketable you are, how loyal you've been, believe it or not. It says not good enough. And that's the conflict Norris and Piastri are living now. Norris thinks McLaren is his house to a degree, right? He does. And I don't blame him. Piastri doesn't care. He's here to own the block. Piastri is a stone cold killer assassin. And I think this is why it's so exciting, lads, because we've been here before. We've seen the rivalry against teammates before, or even in 2021, Verstappen, Hamilton. What a showdown. And when the pressure's on, it shows you things about yourself. It reveals your identity. But, McLaren put two greatest of their era and of all time, Senna, no doubt about it, not Prost, but in the same car, similar cars, and you thought it would be glorious. Instead, it was biblical. Suzuka, 1989. Prost leads the championship. Senna has to win. Lap after lap, Senna is attacking. He's on it, man. Prost defends. Senna lunges at the chicane. Prost closes the door. Absolutely, he closed the door. And they tangle. Prost climbs out, furious, even though he doesn't know exactly what's going to happen with Senna here. Senna refuses to stop. Marshals put him back on the track. He roars through the field, passes everybody, wins on the track. It was one of the greatest comebacks in racing history. In fact, probably the greatest comeback in history. Now, I'll always say about Senna, his greatest ever victory was in Brazil, Interlagos, when he was stuck in fifth gear. He still takes the win in fifth gear the whole way around the track. Can I say that again? He's stuck in fifth gear. And he still wins? Tell me who does that? Who does that? It's insane, lads. But even going back to Senna and Prost, when Senna gets back on track and he wins, then the FIA, led by Jean-Marie Balestri. Oh, sorry, I know, guys, forget his name. This guy, oh my God, what a scumbag. Frenchman protecting Prost. Now, I get it, he was French driver. I get it. But no, man, no. Either your French boy was good enough, or he wasn't good enough. You don't reward bad behavior. And that's exactly what he did. He rewarded bad behavior. And, a championship decided not by the track, but by politics. Pure and simple politics. Senna called it a very dark day in his life. And, fast forward 1 year later, Suzuka 1990, Prost now in the Ferrari, Senna on pole, but furious he's been put on the dirty side of the grid, which I don't blame him, because that is insane, lads. That is insane. And that is a big bloody deal, believe you me, in racing, being put on the dirty side of the track. There's less grip, right? So even if two guys get off, the exact same revs, the exact same speed, the exact same reaction time, everything, you don't have as much grip on the dirty side of the track. So no matter what happens, you're going to be slower. And a lot of times it can be coming down to the guy on pole has to have an insanely bad start. And then you could just do a great start. But again, you're still on the back foot. You're still under pressure. You still have to make sure that nothing gets screwed up. And that's why sometimes you say that it's even better starting in third position because you're on the good side of the track. You got the traction, you got the grip. And you can dart through, maybe even past the guy in first and get into the first corner in the lead. It's that important. And, you know, Senna, he was looking for revenge, man. Lights out. Prost gets ahead of Senna. Senna dives, doesn't lift, smashes straight into Prost at 150, maybe 160. Not too quick. It wasn't the end of the world stuff here, but you know, both out. Senna takes the title. Senna admits it later. Yep, he did it on purpose. There's no way I am getting into this. The wounds that came from Senna that year, and even the year before, because pressure revealed who Senna was, who Prost was. Prost panicked. Senna didn't. Now, Senna was hurt. He was crushed. So it didn't reveal a bad side of Senna. Absolutely not. Because Senna got screwed over the year before. Screwed over. Like your husband or wife cheats on you, okay? And what, you're going to have a nice, honest reaction? Get the you know? And it showed. Now, I'm not justifying what Senna did, right? If I was in that situation now, I never had, luckily, you know, thank God, touch wood, thank God, I never had that situation in racing. What would I have done? Well, maybe I would have done the same. I don't know. I don't know, and I can't speak very factual on that because I'm not in that scenario. Now, could I have let the chips fall where they may? Maybe I would have. Maybe I would have. But I've never taken someone out. I've always been a very clean driver. I'll certainly squeeze a guy, there's no doubt about it, and let him make the mistakes. There's no doubt about it, and that's exactly what racing is. But to knock somebody off? No. In that situation? Well, Prost did leave a little door open on as well. So at the end of the day, Prost knew that something would have been coming here. You know? He knew something could happen here. Even Martin Brundle said it before, that Senna would go for a half a move, right? Now, I'm not agreeing with this, by the way, okay? A half a space is still, it's not a full space. But Senna could sometimes go for that half a space, and it was either all in, everything or nothing. We go into this corner, I'm coming out ahead, or we both go off. I gotta admit, I love that ruthlessness. Love that ruthlessness. Wow. Now let's look at Hamilton Rosberg, right, guys? We're reliving here team rivals with this stuff. I mean, you know, you had Hamilton Rosberg, brilliant. Two boys who grew up in karts. Now they were about 6 years behind me, so it was kind of like, you know, when you're in racing, I was in 6th year. Now, I don't know what the American equivalent is. Sorry, guys. I think, you know, the last year in high school, but they just started in high school. So I was in 6th year. They were in 1st year. You know, so they were the kids, the juniors. So I don't know how much they did know each other. Best friends, they were for a while. You know, the Xbox computer battles, you know, and that's exactly what does happen. Then Mercedes gave him the fastest car in the world to Hamilton. And the friendship did start to burn down. And, you know, Bahrain, 2014, lap after lap, wheel to wheel. No team orders, sparks in the desert. And fans still call it one of the greatest fights ever. I don't know what that. Monaco 2015, Rosberg overcooks qualifying, parks his car, ruins Hamilton's lap. Suspicion hangs heavy. Spain 2016, lap 1, I think, wasn't it? Lap 1, turn 4. Rosberg defends. Hamilton attacks. Both in the gravel. Double DNF. Toto Wolff smashing his headset in fury. Can understand. The pressure turned childhood friends into sworn enemies. And Rosberg won the title. Then retires days later. Now, why? Because he couldn't take it again? No. I think, as they say, what is that saying again? Always go out on top. Now, I think Rosberg knew that he wasn't going to get the attention at Mercedes. He knew this, okay? Hamilton was the golden boy, the golden goose, the ticket to the chocolate factory, whatever the hell you want to call it. So he knew that the fact that he had a chance to beat him that year, he went, oh, dude, this is my one and only chance, because there's no way they're going to let this happen again. And I'm telling you, there's no way Mercedes would have let that happen again. No way. There is favoritism in all walks of life, right? You could be in a job right now. You're the golden boy. You're the golden girl. You're the crap, okay? You could be getting favoritism. You could not be getting favoritism. Things like this happen. And then you got Alonso and Hamilton. That was another great showdown. McLaren pairing Alonso with the rookie, and he was at the time. They thought it could be probably brilliant. It was nuclear, lads. Hungary qualifying. Alonso parks in the pits, blocks Hamilton, runs his lap. The garage descends into chaos. Team orders ignored. Spygate swirling in the background. But by the end of the year, McLaren was in ruins. Alonso was gone. And Hamilton had been revealed as a rookie who refused to bow. And I gotta hand it to him. Pressure, I wouldn't say revealed Alonso's paranoia. What would you call... Maybe. No, I'm a big fan of Alonso, and I'm not trying to take sides here, and that's why I'm actually even doubting what I'm saying here. Maybe it did reveal Alonso's paranoia. Maybe it exposed him. Maybe. I'm sure. We've got another rivalry, Vettel and Webber. Oh, man. Malaysia. Multi-21. Do we all remember that one? Oh, dear Lord. The coded order. Vettel ignored it, passed him, didn't give a damn, won the race, shrugged it off. Webber fuming, which I do agree. Sometimes you do take it for the team because you need to connect with the team. Now, sometimes you got to go against it. The pressure was revealing Vettel's selfishness, I think. Is that wrong or right? Now, some people will say, "Oh, you got to be a killer. You got to be a killer, cocky a-hole." No, you just got to be a warrior. You got to be a killer. Cockiness has nothing to do with it. Selfishness has nothing to do with it either. You just want to destroy the guy. Then you got PK Mansell. Oh, man. Williams, the fastest car. 2 drivers who refused to be second. Mansell is no doubt about it. Nigel Mansell was no doubt about it one of the greatest of all times when it comes to balls. This guy has brass balls, man. And that's exactly what you want in a guy. I would put him in, even if you're talking about just sheer balls, he's definitely in the top 3 of all time. Senna, Schumacher. Well, no. God, no. See, this is a tough one, lads. This is a real tough one. See, you have to put Fangio in there. What Fangio did. And even Jackie Stewart, lads. Jackie Stewart was insanely balls. This guy. Jackie Stewart, let's get on to him for a second here now. Jackie Stewart was extremely underrated to a degree. Like, I wouldn't... He was not underrated in the racing world. The people that, have lived, breathed racing. He's underrated in the press. And he was unbelievable. I don't know, man. I'd put Senna, Fangio, Schumacher, Mansell. If I had to go, I'm trying to go top 3, but I can't do it, man. I don't know what to say. Lads, here's the truth that people kind of forget, I think. Rivalries aren't decided on Sunday afternoons. They're decided in the lonely hours when you're at home. Those sleepless, bloody nights, lads, in your hotel room or at home, 3 a.m. and you are staring at that wall. And I've been there plenty of times. And when the ceiling feels like it's pressing down on your chest. And, even when I was racing, I was racing in Holland in Formula Ford. And just only a couple of days or a couple of weeks, I can't remember the exact timeline, okay? But I remember when I got into the car the next time, I was just, phased out, done. And a guy I knew very well back in my racing days, he wasn't a buddy of mine, but he's a brother, man, because any racing driver, and I honestly think that if racing drivers look at this, you feel like you're one of the soldiers storming Omaha Beach here. Like it's bond and brotherhood stuff. It really is. And, my brain running laps, I couldn't escape. In the end, I remember one night, I was so scared out of my mind, that I was awake all night, going to Holland the next day, thinking, I might not come back. And the fact that this guy passed away just ever recently as what he was doing, what we do, racing cars. I was scared out of my mind, lads. I was up at 3 a.m. I had to wake my mother. I literally sat on the edge of my bed, and my mum was just there to support me and hold me and protect me. And it was wonderful at the same time. And can't even sleep. But by the morning, I wasn't calm. I was sharp. Fear had turned into fuel. And I think that's what Piastri and Norris are going to be living through this. Believe me, this is no joke. People just think, oh yeah, they just come along the race. And you have to remember too, when you're in the pit lane, you're doing mental mind games here. You could be scared out of your mind, and yet you're walking around like you're untouchable. People don't exist to you. Now, of course, sometimes you literally are like that, but sometimes you could be scared out of your mind and you're playing these insane mind games. And that's what happens, because that's part of the fuel too here, lads. That's part of the winning package. And, I can't even believe I'm going to say this, but that's why Saving Private Ryan, that movie, brings me peace. I can't believe I'm saying this. Oh, dear Lord. Oh, my God. Screw it. Saving Private Ryan. I turn on that movie. The Omaha Beach scene. The very first scene, as many of you know who've seen this movie. Now, that's a disturbing scene. But that scene brings me kind of peace. Because I'm back to war mode. I'm back to something that feels familiar. I'm back to just... Whoa. Now that I'm actually saying this out loud, there's a kind of a real cure about this. But a real, oh, Jesus, Peter, what have you been doing, man? Oh, my God. You know, boots on the ramps, bullets in the air, people calling out for their mum. I mean, oh, Jesus. And there I am. Oh, my God. All right, lads. Yeah, I know. I'm mental. I'm mental. But okay, let's try and move on and hopefully, okay. So anyway, lads, maybe Singapore this year, you know, late safety car, hold stations with Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. Maybe it'll help. You know, maybe one obeys, one doesn't. Maybe one obeys, one doesn't. And maybe Abu Dhabi. Last lap. Last corner. One defending too hard. One attacking too deep. History written in dust, lads. And or maybe it'll just be quiet. A toe refused. A setup hidden. And a handshake colder than ice. And believe you me, these two lads are going to feel it. And rivalry doesn't always explode. Sometimes they rot from the house within, if you know what I mean. And history guarantees this climax is coming. Well, lads, you know, I think there can be something very, very useful for you and anybody else listening to this. Because, yes, we're on about pressure. And pressure can reveal your identity, but it can also redeem your identity. So, if you've fallen before, if you've cracked, if you've choked, it doesn't mean you're finished, because you can always rock up the very next day or the next time that pressure comes on you, and you could win this next time. Bang! You redeemed yourself. You redeemed yourself. You know? So always give yourself that next chance, lads. You know, like, I think it's very, very important. Like, redemption is real. Second chances are real. Senna fell. He rose. Hamilton lost titles. He came back stronger. Prost rebuilt. Rosberg walks away, you know, whole. Cool. But, you know, mistakes don't define you. It's how you respond to them. And here's the real win. Showing up. Like, put it this way. Can you imagine, okay, let's just say you have a incident and you're under major pressure and you choke. Okay, let's just say you do. Imagine the mentality it takes to show up the next time knowing that, oh my God, I could choke today, or you could win. That's a lot of scare, lads. That is incredibly brave of anybody to show up again knowing that they could lose. They could fall. Give yourself some credit there. You know, Jesus, you know, and knowing you could be humiliated, possibly, maybe, and saying, you know, I'll go again. That's the biggest courage, lads. You know, that's the victory before the light even goes out. And because that's what life is. That's not Formula One. It's not perfection. It's not clean records, but redemption maybe is on the cards for you, you know? And hey, Jesus, maybe you've got something going on in your life that, you know, you just broke up with the missus, the husband, whatever. You know, someone close to you has passed away, right? Something. Maybe, just maybe, you're just not in that headspace right now. And I get it. Everybody gets it. You know? Because when the chips are down, lads, and when the ceiling start pressing into you at 3 a.m., when the car twitches into cops at 200 miles an hour, it's always the same question. Which way did you go? Which way did you go? And the answer, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front. What a move from fifth all the way to the lead in lap one.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter Walsh.